They didn't kill torrenting with a law, they killed it with a business plan, and by the time you realized what happened, you were already paying for it monthly. July 20th, 2016. A 30-year-old Ukrainian man named Artem Valen was arrested in Warsaw, Poland. He wasn't a drug lord, he wasn't a weapons dealer, he ran a website. That website had 50 million unique visitors every single month. It was the 69th most visited site on the entire internet. It had generated between $12.5 and $22.3 million in annual revenue, and the U.S. Department of Justice said it had enabled the illegal distribution of over $1 billion in copyrighted content since 2008. They shut it down in a single afternoon. KickassTorrents was gone, but the arrest was never really about Valen. It was about you. It was about making sure that when the free option disappeared, you had nowhere left to go except a monthly subscription. Here's what nobody told you. The people who killed torrenting had a replacement product ready to sell you before the handcuffs were on. If you want to understand why your streaming bill doubled the same year they arrested the man who made it free, hit subscribe. This story gets worse before it gets better. To understand how torrenting fell this hard, you need to go back to April 2001. Bram Cohen was a 25-year-old programmer in New York City. He wasn't trying to build an empire, he was trying to solve a math problem. The problem was simple. When too many people tried to download the same file from one server, the server collapsed. Napster had proven that millions of people wanted to share files. It had also proven that centralized servers were a single point of failure. The FBI knew where to knock. Cohen's solution was elegant. Instead of one server sending a file to thousands of people, every person downloading the file would simultaneously send pieces of it to everyone else. The more popular a file, the faster it downloaded. He called the protocol BitTorrent. He released it on July 2, 2001. By 2003, two Swedish activists named Gottfried Svartholm and Fredrik Nye had built a search engine on top of it. They called it the Pirate Bay. It launched on November 21, 2003, from a server in a Stockholm basement. By January 2006, peer-to-peer traffic, dominated by BitTorrent, accounted for over 70% of all internet traffic worldwide. Not 70% of file-sharing traffic, 70% of all internet traffic. Every router, every ISP, every backbone provider on the planet was moving these packets. By 2012, the Pirate Bay alone was hosting over 100 million unique IP addresses per month. KickassTorrents had surpassed it in raw traffic. ExtraTorrents, RARBG, and dozens of others had carved out their own audiences. The ecosystem was vast, decentralized, and built to survive anything. At its peak, the torrenting ecosystem controlled the distribution of virtually every major film, television series, software package, and music album released anywhere on Earth. But here's what nobody predicted. The thing that killed it wasn't a raid, it was a credit card. By 2012, the entertainment industry was staring at a catastrophe it had created for itself. 300 million people were using piracy sites every single month, not downloading, not browsing. 300 million human beings making an active choice every month to go around the system entirely. That number didn't come from criminals. It came from customers the industry had decided weren't worth serving properly. Picture a 38-year-old systems administrator in Chicago in 2009. He wants to watch the final season of The Wire. It isn't available to stream anywhere. The DVD box set costs $47.99. He opens the Pirate Bay, types 4 words, and has the entire series on his hard drive in 40 minutes. He didn't feel like a criminal. He felt like a man who solved a problem the industry refused to solve for him. Multiply that by 300 million. The Pirate Bay's founders understood exactly what they had built. In 2006, when Swedish police raided their Stockholm data center with 65 officers and seized their servers, the site was back online in 72 hours. Traffic doubled. The raid had turned them into martyrs. They built something designed to be indestructible, decentralized hosting, servers spread across multiple jurisdictions, encrypted virtual machines set to auto-shutdown after 8 hours offline. Peter Sunda, one of the co-founders, said publicly in 2008, "We're way ahead of the law. By the time they understand what we're doing, we'll have already moved." He said that in 2008. He was convicted in 2009. Sound familiar? The arrogance of people who believe their technology makes them untouchable. You've seen this before. You'll see it again. Here's the number that should stop you. By 2012, the combined value of the top 5 torrent indexing sites was estimated at over $500 million. $500 million, built entirely on content they didn't own, infrastructure they kept moving, and an audience the entertainment industry had abandoned. But there was one number Netflix's executives knew in 2012 that they never made public. A number that explains every price increase, every password crackdown, and every deleted show since then. We'll get to it. If you've been watching this channel and haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Every week we break down the business decisions that shape the technology you use every day, the ones the companies involved would prefer you never understood. It takes one click and it costs you nothing. Here's the decision that changed everything. December 9th, 2014. Swedish police entered a data center in Stockholm at dawn. They seized servers, hard drives, routers, and networking equipment. The Pirate Bay went dark. This time it didn't come back in 72 hours. It stayed down for months. When it returned, it was a shadow of itself. Slower, less reliable, missing content, running on mirrors that could vanish overnight. What they told you, this was a law enforcement victory against criminal copyright infringement. What they actually did, they handed the streaming industry its most valuable marketing moment in history. In the weeks following the Pirate Bay's December 2014 shutdown, industry analysts noted that streaming subscriptions accelerated in markets where enforcement was strongest. The message to the public was clear. The free option is gone. The legal option is here. Pay up. The industry had learned something from the 2006 raid. That one made torrenting more popular. This time, they coordinated. The Pirate Bay raid in December 2014 was followed by the KickassTorrents takedown in July 2016. Then RBG was pressured into shutting down in May 2023, citing legal costs and the death of 2 founding members. Extra Torrents shut down voluntarily in 2017. One by one, the pillars came down. They didn't shut down KickassTorrents because it was illegal. They shut it down because it was competition. And you cannot charge $26.99 a month when the alternative is free. Imagine Artem Volan in a Warsaw apartment in July 2016, watching his operation collapse because of one mistake. He had used a personal Apple iCloud account linked to a Facebook profile that had also been used to purchase advertising for KickassTorrents. One transaction, one digital fingerprint. The DOJ traced it across 3 countries and 2 continents. He was arrested on July 20th, 2016. The charges: 1 count of conspiracy to commit criminal copyright infringement, 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, 2 counts of criminal copyright infringement, maximum sentence, 45 years. The message wasn't sent to Volan, it was sent to every developer who had ever thought about building the next KickassTorrents. 1 digital fingerprint is enough. We will find you, and we will make an example. You were right to feel like the walls were closing in. They were. Deliberately, systematically, with a spreadsheet and a timeline. But here's what the industry didn't account for. They were closing the free door at the exact same moment they were planning to raise the price of the paid one. They were counting on you not noticing the order. Remember when they said streaming would make entertainment cheaper and more accessible? They lied. That was the mistake. What happened next was the punishment. The numbers don't lie. In 2019, the average American household subscribed to 3.4 streaming services at a combined cost of $8.53 per month. By 2023, that same household subscribed to 4.1 services at a combined cost of $48 per month. That's a 463% increase in 4 years. Read that again. 463% in 4 years. Not in content, in price. Netflix's standard plan went from $9.99 per month in 2014 to $15.49 in 2023, and has nearly doubled since its 2014 price, with increases continuing through 2026. Disney Plus launched in November 2019 at $6.99 per month. By 2025, the ad-free tier cost $18.99. That's a 171% increase in 6 years. HBO Max rebranded to Max, raised prices, and removed content that subscribers had already paid to access. They deleted shows, they erased films, they pulled originals from the platform and sold them elsewhere. In 2023 alone, streaming services collectively removed more than 1,000 titles from their platforms. content that subscribers had been paying monthly to access. Gone. No refund, no notice, just gone. Compare that to a torrent. A torrent you downloaded in 2009 still plays today. The file doesn't expire. The license doesn't lapse. Nobody can reach into your hard drive and delete it. According to piracy analytics firm Muso, people visited piracy sites 233.8 billion times in 2023. That's 29 visits for every single human being alive on Earth. The thing they declared dead in 2016 was visited 233.8 billion times 7 years later. The thing they arrested a man for, the thing they raided data centers over, 233.8 billion times. The competitors noticed. According to measurement firm Antenna, in the 4 days after Netflix rolled out its password-sharing crackdown in May 2023, average daily signups to Netflix reached 73,000, a 102% increase from the prior 60-day average. But those weren't all converts. Torrent search traffic measurably spiked in the same period. A new generation of users, people who had never torrented in their lives, were learning how for the first time. Imagine a 42-year-old IT manager. He's been paying for Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu since 2019. In May 2023, Netflix tells him his brother in another city can no longer share his account. He does the math. To cover both households legally, he'd need to spend $94 per month across 4 platforms. He opens a browser tab he hasn't opened in 11 years. Here's the number Netflix knew in 2012 and never made public. The price point at which a subscriber will choose piracy over payment. Their own internal research had identified it. They built their entire pricing strategy around staying just below it, until they didn't. The raids came first. The price hikes came second. That sequence was not a coincidence. They were counting on you not noticing the order. 3 things. Stay with me. Here's what the story of torrenting actually teaches us. First, convenience beats free, but only until the price becomes insulting. Netflix won in 2015 not because it was legal, but because it was easier. 1 click, 1 password, 1 interface. The legal option was genuinely better. But the moment they started deleting content you'd already paid for and charging $94 a month for the privilege of watching television, the calculation changed. Convenience has a price ceiling. They found it. Second, when you eliminate the free alternative, you don't eliminate demand, you make people angrier. Every major torrent site shut down between 2014 and 2023 was replaced within months. The Pirate Bay came back. Mirror sites proliferated. New indexers appeared. The protocol itself, BitTorrent, cannot be shut down. It's mathematics. You can arrest the people running the websites. You cannot arrest the algorithm. Third, the subscription model was always designed to extract more money over time, not to deliver more value. The original pitch, one low monthly price for everything, was a market entry strategy. Once the free alternative was neutralized and the habit was formed, the price went wherever the market would bear. You were right to be suspicious in 2015. The data proves it. We started this video with Artem Volin being arrested in Warsaw for running a website that 50 million people used every month. He's been a fugitive since 2020. The site he ran is gone. The industry that prosecuted him is now charging you $26.99 a month for a premium Netflix plan. You were right. They bet that you'd forget what ownership felt like. They were wrong about the 300 million people who came back. You were never the customer. You were always the product. Subscribe if that still bothers you.